Get ready for a straight shooting message straight from Parliament when Pierre Poilievre takes the floor and he pulls no punches. He talks about October 7th and its attacks in Israel, and he condemns Hamas as what he says a sadistic terrorist death cult, and shines a spotlight on the Canadians who lost their lives. He's not holding back with any words about how Canada should respond and how we as Canadians define ourselves by freedom, not division. Let's jump right into it.
October 7th, Hamas carried out the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. They deliberately targeted innocent mothers, babies, grandparents, partygoers, peace activists, and countless others who had no connection whatsoever, even to military life. These were innocent civilians living their lives until they suddenly came to an end. The attacks unleashed a carnage that is almost unprecedented in human history. In fact, what was special about these attacks is the delight and the triumphal pride and exhibitionism with which Hamas surely carried them out. All of that reminds us that Hamas is not a militant organization. It is not a government. It is not an activist group. Hamas is a sadistic, criminal, terrorist death cult, and it must be defeated. There will be and there can be no negotiating with Hamas. Hamas can only be destroyed, just like President Obama destroyed and assassinated Osama bin Laden. There was no negotiating with bin Laden, and there can be no negotiating with Hamas. And this attack was also an attack on Canadians. If I could quote my deputy leader, in the carnage, 5 Canadians were murdered. And they're not just numbers. Alexander Luke from Montreal, Ben Mizrachiov of Vancouver, both murdered when Hamas opened fire on a music festival. Shir Gregory was also killed. Adi Vital Kaplun of Ottawa was murdered in her kibbutz, and Ned Epstein was murdered as he attempted to defend his girlfriend against a grenade. They are now in our memories forever, and may their memories be a blessing. And we know why Hamas felt the need to act with such drastic cruelty at this time. Hamas, of course, is guided by its terror sponsor, the dictatorship in Tehran, which had been growing in its concern for Israel's signature of the Abraham Accords with the UAE, with Bahrain, an agreement with Sudan, and even the possibility of normalization with Saudi Arabia. This kind of peace between Muslims and Jews, between Israelis and Arabs, would be a nightmare for both Hamas and for Iran, for the dictatorship in Iran, who seek to perpetuate the conflict and the divisions as a source of power. They need to perpetuate the hatred in order to justify their dictatorships. And that's why they felt the need to interrupt any path towards peace. Here in Canada, we judge people on their own merits, their own deeds, and their own words. That is why the great Canadian Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier said when he was asked what is our nationality, he did not list an ethnicity or a religion or any other superficial demarcation. Back then, we were already mixed up. We had, obviously, Indigenous people, Scots, Irish, and many people from all around the world in our country. And therefore, we could not define ourselves on any of those lines. So he said, Canada is free, and freedom is its nationality. And so it is today. And so let us then set out to protect the freedom of all Canadians and to stand for the values of freedom all around the world. Let us support our Jewish and Muslim friends here in this country as they watch with horror and with sadness at what is happening to loved ones on the other side of the world. They too are Canadians. They are our people. We must stand with them now and always, because after all, we are Canadians. Thank you.
And there you have it, a call to stand by our allies, support our Jewish and our Muslim neighbors, and uphold Canada's core values in the face of all this terror. Poilievre, he's underscoring that Hamas is beyond negotiation, that our shared freedom is what really unites us, and the Canadians have to respond with unity and resolve. If you agree, or even if you disagree, this is your cue to weigh in and keep the conversation going. What do you guys think?